observation from a business standpoint. And my observation has shown that the universities that have the strongest leadership are the ones that are able to create the right dynamics of the relationships between the administration and the faculty to be able to move things forward. And then I think, as you had indicated, it really takes a champion within any specific discipline to really garner the kind of effort and activity that is required to continue to create the type of community that actually can continue to forge the kind of change. Also, another observation is I think that we're also seeing the students start to push the faculty in different ways. And there isn't the same degree of fear between the students and the faculty. They don't mind going to the faculty member or to a lead researcher and saying, I looked this up and you're wrong. Yeah, that's right, that's right. So I think the dynamics have really changed, which with those dynamics changing, that's one of the things that's allowing us to continue to see how the business models will change.
Other question?
I'm glad you mentioned the business model. I guess I'd like each of you to answer the question. You know, Karen this morning talked about that we don't have expanding resources. We've seen a major change in the automobile industry, in the medical industry, or at least attempts at doing that, and other industries. We still have a higher ed educational system that's costing more than the inflation rate. Are any of the activities that you're doing being able to deal with that economic problem but still keep the quality?
Mm-hmm. I'll take a stab at that. I think we finally, from a technical standpoint, we've reached the point that we can see the value of leveraging the technology across the different areas of the institution. So what I mean by that is, instead of the administration being the bad guys and the academics being the good guys, there's value in realizing the investment can be leveraged across everyone. So whether it's the business of education, whether it's the business of teaching and learning, or whether it's the business of research, there's real value in leveraging that investment effectively across all of the different disciplines and the dynamics of running the institution.
Well, the Labor College has historically had very low tuition in order to provide affordable education for union members. This would be self-evident. However, it also put the college in a position where it financially was barely hanging on by its fingernails. So you can't under-resource the organization. And we did need to expand and to grow our way into financial health. We needed an infusion of capital from the outside. So that's part of what our partnership did without impacting the autonomy and the control and the accreditation of the institution. So you can go too low to really support the institution, although I will say that, and I noted it in my comments, that there are certain aspects or certain key indicators of quality that actually don't cost very much. Many things do. John has certainly identified some of them in terms of technology and course development and et cetera, et cetera. But there are certain things that don't cost very much, which includes conceptualizing your curriculum holistically, making sure that your courses are all integrated together, and that one leads to another, and that when you get to the end of your curriculum, you've had a holistic and a rational course of study. All these are quality indicators that you can build in, and the Labor College certainly builds into its programs, rather than one from column A, one from column B, one from column C model, where your faculty are really working on their courses and on their programs kind of as floating islands. But when you bring faculty together to work in teams, as Frank and John discussed, and as we do as well, you get a much more integrated and a much higher quality program.
One of those things, recently I went back and read John Carlo Newman's The Idea of the University, another great book called Life in a Medieval University. It's opened up my thinking about it, because, you know, I grew up in a regular college like you all did, where I was locked into what's Gen Ed, here's this, here's the majors, this is quality. Go back and look at the history of the university and see all the various things that have gone on and what's possible for our future. Rethink it.
Like everything else in CES, technology reward scale, right? So there's high upfront cost to build something good, but lower marginal cost. As these programs scale, what's happening at USC in social work and in teaching at the other schools is as we scale, it's actually lowering the cost, not just for the classroom students, but actually, not just for the online students, but the classroom students as well, because you're taking those tools you've developed and putting them back into the classroom programs and turning them really into hybrids. As you lower the costs, it's showing up so far only in much larger grants from the university to its students. But it's starting to show up in tuition going up with inflation, not above inflation. And again, for both the classroom and the online.
So one of the themes, as a follow-up to anyone who wants to take this on, is we've heard about collaboration, about scale, about sharing resources, and that leads to potential for standardization. We've also heard about maintaining the essence and treating students in a personal way. How are folks making that trade-off? Or are there any kind of rules of thumb or divining rods as people start to think about some of these issues for where you can get scale economies, where you can standardize, and where you need to maintain kind of that personal essence?
I don't think you need to standardize at all. The fact is that